In the fast-moving world of news, it's easy to miss the meaning between the lines. That's where we come in. Each episode, we take real headlines from Newsline Philippines and let AI break them down. Not just the what, but the why it matters.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at quite a situation unfolding around a big infrastructure project in the Philippines.
Yeah, there's this major bridge, the Samal Island Davao City Connector, or SIDC.
Right, the SIDC. And it's hit a major legal snag, but it's also sparking some really strong accusations. We're digging into a news report from Newsline Philippines on this.
Exactly. And our goal today is to help you understand the different sides here. It's not just what happened, but sort of why it matters. We're talking development, environment, and this powerful legal tool called a Writ of Kalikasan.
Okay, a Writ of Kalikasan. We'll definitely need to understand that. So let's lay out the basics first. This SIDC bridge, it's meant to connect Davao and Samal Island.
That's it. About 4.76 kilometers, toll-free.
Yeah.
And the funding is interesting, too. It's Chinese ODA, Official Development Assistance, so government aid for development.
Okay, standard enough, seems like. But then, boom, July 1st, 2025, the Supreme Court issues this Writ of Kalikasan.
Well, the core issue cited was the potential damage to coral reefs right there at the project site. That's what triggered the writ.
Coral reefs, okay. So this Writ of Kalikasan, what does it actually do? Does it just stop everything immediately?
It's a powerful move. It doesn't necessarily mean an instant permanent stop, but it acts like a major intervention. It ordered key players, the Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH, the DENR, which is Environment and Natural Resources.
Right, the main agencies.
And CPSPMB, that manages protected areas, plus the China Road and Bridge Corporation, the builder. It ordered all of them to respond.
And quickly, I gather.
Very quickly, within 10 days. So it forces this immediate pause and justification. You can imagine environmental groups were quite relieved, saying, look, development can't just bulldoze environmental concerns.
10 days is tight. But the reaction wasn't just relief, was it? The source mentioned some serious pushback.
Oh, absolutely. Just a week later, July 8th, Davao del Norte board member Al David Yu gave a media interview.
And what did he say?
He called the writ economic sabotage. Straight up.
Wow, economic sabotage. That's quite a statement. Why did he frame it like that?
Well, his argument was that the environmental groups petitioning for the writ were being selective. He even accused them of being elitist.
Selective how?
He pointed to their supposed silence on other environmental issues nearby, like degradation near Mount Hamigatan. His point seemed to be, why focus here and potentially block a project that helps everyone?
So framing it as potentially harming the broader public for maybe narrow interests.
Exactly. That's a common theme you see in these kinds of disputes, right? The idea that environmental action might hurt economic progress for the many. Erie argued the bridge helps everyone, not just, one particular class.
Did he elaborate on the elitist part?
Yeah, he actually alleged these groups were backed by oligarchs and were basically making life harder for ordinary local residents who'd benefit from the bridge. It's a very direct claim about who stands to gain or lose.
So painting a picture of environmentalism potentially being used by powerful interests to block something the general public wants or needs.
That seems to be the implication, yes. Shifting the focus from environmental protection to economic impact and social equity.
But did he say he'd just ignore the court?
No. Interestingly, the source notes he said he respects the legal process, but he also expressed a strong hope that the bridge project would still go ahead.
Why?
Because in his words, it reflects the will of the people in both cities. So you have these two really starkly different views on the same project. Environment versus economy, legal process versus public will.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway here for you, the listener?
I think this deep dive really shows that classic conflict, doesn't it? The drive for infrastructure, for economic growth, running right up against the need to protect the environment.
And how quickly things can get politicized.
Definitely. Using terms like economic sabotage really frames the legal action in a specific, highly charged way. And it shows how a legal tool like the Writ of Kalikasan, designed for environmental protection, becomes a flashpoint in a much bigger debate about development priorities.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, when you have these huge projects with big economic promises, but also real environmental risks, how do you actually balance those?
And how do you measure something like the will of the people against maybe less visible long-term environmental costs.
Plus, who gets to define what progress even means in the first place? Lots to consider there as the situation and others like it continue to develop.